Welcome back everybody. Today I'm pretty excited because I'm back at Concrete Wave Skate Park. Now, the weather of late has been a little bit hit or miss, so I've got a couple of projects that remain incomplete. The first one was the idea of getting a double backside 50-50 grind in the deep end of the pool. Now I got the idea for this when I was working on the backside 50-50 grind in the deep end, and I managed to get back out of the deep end by doing a backside carve. This gave me the idea that I could upgrade that backside carve into another backside 50-50 grind. And to get a feel for doing two grinds in a row, I decided to practice it in the shallow end. The main thing I struggled with was getting enough speed to get that second grind going. I found the key was to go as far around on the first grind as possible and then pump into that second grind, which felt quite tight coming into it. I managed to get a couple of half decent second grinds and there was a couple of thrills and spills, so I look forward to revisiting this one and taking it into the deep end. I also quite fancy trying the board slide in the deep end. Now just thinking about this brings me out in a cold sweat. So as a bit of a training step, I decided to try them in the pocket. Now, this was a little bit trickier than I anticipated, and I entered into a mini battle. I found the main thing to overcome as usual was the fear factor. Just adding a couple of feet of transition to that board slide was enough to really get the adrenaline flowing. I found as soon as I committed to a couple, it wasn't as bad as I thought, and I managed to ride away from a few. Now this line out of the board slide in the pocket sent me into a frontside fakie carve. This was a bit of an unexpected bonus feature, and it really exposed a weakness in my technique for doing the fakie frontside carves in the deep end. Now so far, if I find myself coming down that waterfall fakie, I usually go for a backside fakie carve grind to get out of it. Another trick I've tinkered with is the fakie tail stall in the deep end, which will bring me out of the fakie back into regular. But just the way that board slide in the pocket sends me down the waterfall makes the fakie frontside carve the obvious option. Now I've become quite obsessed with the idea of getting the fakie frontside carve a little bit better. I've been mind skating it a lot and visualizing it, and today I really want to see if I can push the limits of my fakie frontside carve. I find the pool provides some nice feedback as to where I'm at. So my first goal is to see if I can get a nice smooth feeling fakie frontside carve. My ultimate goal would be to try and hit the tiles on that fakie frontside carve, and that seems like a mile away. And the long-term goal would be to try and snick that coping. Now I've had a go at trying to get the grind doing the backside fakie carve grind, and I find it really terrifying, but it's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. So maybe in a few sessions time I might be able to get that fakie frontside grind. Anyway, enough of my yakking. It's burning through a treat, the pool's drying out, so it's on with the pads. I'm just going to come out of a rock to fakie in the pocket to try and optimize the amount of attempts I get at this fakie frontside carve. See if I can ride away from a few. Okay, that's the first view in the bag. I have to say it's pretty terrifying. I'm finding committing to staying on the board is the hardest thing. My natural urge is just to jump off once I hit the apex of the turn. I went with the strategy of doing a nice wide arc. That makes doing the turn a little bit easier, but the downside is I'm not coming out with much speed, and also the turn isn't that high. So in order to get up anywhere near those tiles, I'm gonna have to start tightening the arc, and I'm finding that I need to train myself to bend the knees and accept the board in towards myself as I go up, and also look over my new front shoulder, which is my back shoulder. I'm also finding that if I transfer my pressure from my old back foot to my new back foot, that it really helps the feeling. So I think my next goal is going to be to see if I can generate enough speed to get back up into the shallow end and get back on the coping. Okay, that's starting to feel a little bit more comfy now. Still pretty terrifying. Managed to generate enough speed to get back up into the shallow end and do a tail tap. The trick there was just to bend my knees as much as I could, and that gave me somewhere to pump out of. Bending the knees a bit definitely helped the turn, but it feels a little bit more scary because I'm actually putting my head and vital organs closer to the perceived danger. So I've got to try and teach my body that that is the best place. So I reckon the next goal is to try and snick those tiles. What I'm finding is as I go a little bit higher on the turn, I haven't got enough speed and enough sort of pump and swish of the hips. So I get that sort of weightless feeling at the top. I remember back to learning the regular frontside carve, and I can remember that when it all went weightless, that's when things could get a bit emotional. So I'm going to keep going, see if I can hit those tiles. Okay, getting up on the tiles is starting to feel a bit more comfortable. I pushed my luck and tried to go for the coping and went a cropper. And I remember that slam from when I used to try and learn the frontside carve the right way round. It's all on the leading elbow and the leading hip. So if you're thinking of giving these a go, it's well worth padding those bits up, because once you get a bit greedy and you get that weightless feeling, there's only one way out, and that's straight to the bottom. I found the key to getting up there was speed on entry and also the pump whilst doing the turn. So I just needed to keep my knees a little bit more bent and also accentuate all of the pumps during the line. So a bit more pump out of the rock to fakie, a bit more pump down the hip, and then a bit more pump up onto the tiles, and pumping back down the transition allowed me to go up to the shallow end, execute a tail stall, and then coming back down, pump the hips and complete my run with a regular carve grind. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead on that one. I'm pretty pleased to get up on the tiles. I don't think I'm going to get the coping today, and if I go for it, it's just going to be more of those slams. So I'm going to concentrate my efforts on that double 50-50 grind of the shallow end, see if I can get that second 50-50 grind a little bit more convincing. Okay, that's it for this video. Got a big red rosy face, it's burnt through a treat. Managed to get that double backside 50-50 grind going a little bit better. I still like to get that second grind a little bit more convincing, but I think for now, that's enough to give me the feel of how it might set up in that deep end. That Fakie frontside carve definitely kept me honest. I'm going to come back to those. I think the grind is a possibility, but it's going to take a little bit more practice. And also I've got to be in the right mood because those slams straight to the elbow, pretty emotional. Many thanks to everybody that tuned into the live stream. 14,000 subscribers and still going, so many thanks to everybody who subscribed. If you want to view that live stream, then it's up there somewhere, ready to be viewed. If you're working on a trick at the moment, then be sure to leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit subscribe. I make new videos every week. You can also follow me on Instagram at John Bishop Skate. As ever, my name's been John Bishop, and I'm a middle-aged guy learning how to skate.